Address to the public, number 41961, take 1. Fellow citizens, at 4:20 this morning, the 39th Division Special Forces carried out a daring strike against those Monicans who have conspired to deprive us of a great event, an event that could usher in a new era of peace. As planned, our precise tactics have kept casualties on both sides to minimal levels. May we all hail a great victory. To those who have lost sons and daughters, we express our deepest gratitude.
Sir, excuse the interruption.
Yes, what is it?
There seems to be a disturbance. Incoming Monican aircraft are releasing projectiles of some sort.
Sending us our own dead. Erase take 1, record take 2. The height of tension in any game occurs when the rules allow for the influence of human judgment. The advantage in this instance is held by the player who drops the ball to allow the opponent a hollow victory. Half of eternity is still eternity. Infinity and zero are different degrees of the same value. Pain isn't real beyond the individual who feels it.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Have you ever been in an institution? Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
When you're not performing your duties, do they keep you in a little box? Cells.
This causes it. This causes it. This causes it. Information overload. All the electronics around you poisoning the airwaves.
You are listening to the High Tech Low Life podcast, a cyberpunk media retrospective. High Tech Low Life contains language and themes not suitable for all audiences, as well as spoilers for the content being covered. Listener discretion is advised.
It's the High Tech Low Life podcast with your hosts Eric and Josh. I am Eric.
I am Josh.
You can't see it right now, but both of us have flies caught in our eyelashes.
It's true.
We did that just for you. Probably not a great bit in an audio medium, but and it also is very painful and itchy.
It's unpleasant. I mean, it's buzzing around. I hope you can't hear that over the mic. It is trying to get away real hard.
I am going to take mine out and stick it in my leather thong for later.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll remove mine and lock it away with a complicated metal key inside my chastity belt.
Perfect. Oh, everybody, we're doing Aeon Flux this week. What a jaunt.
What a fucking ride.
We don't know how this episode's going to go. We're just going to wing it and hope for the best. But it was we'll get into it. It was a crazy show.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Before, I guess we have to do our other pre-show business, and I haven't really. I mean, I got recommendos. I haven't looked into Dystopia to refresh myself on the events of the last week. Anything super cool happen?
In terms of Dystopia, Donald Trump forgot his wife's name, which is a fun one.
Yeah. A guy self-immolated today. Did you see that?
I saw that like 10 minutes before we started recording.
That's always a sign you're living in interesting times, which is a bad thing.
Yeah.
When people start self-immolating.
Yeah, it's really not a good indicator that things are going well.
Absolutely. It's one of the signs for sure.
When people are willing to cover themselves with gasoline and strike a match, that means things aren't great.
Yeah. I think that just happened today, right? I remember seeing it on Twitter.
Yeah. I think it was sometime this afternoon, I believe.
And who knows? He said he was a active duty Air Force person, but who knows if it's true? I don't know what's been confirmed. Anybody can say anything and set themselves on fire, but
good point.
I'd like to believe it's true. His cause was righteous.
Hey everybody, Editor Eric jumping in again. When we recorded this, that news had just dropped and nothing was confirmed as far as we knew, but it's since been confirmed that he was an active duty airman. His name was Aaron Bushnell, and his final words were "Free Palestine." as he burned alive. So kind of hard to overstate a heroic action like that. And I don't want our laughter as we were kind of getting this news and digesting it to take away from the gravity of his sacrifice. So R.I.P. and free Palestine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's that's the most interesting. I think that's the most interesting dystopic thing off the top of my head, just because, like, I really do take that as an indicator that things are going very poorly.
Yeah.
When you see that on the news taking place in, I don't know, any country.
Yeah.
Um,
It was like outside of the Israeli embassy, though, right?
yeah, yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, that move coming home is a serious mark of commitment.
From what I saw, it's the second one in relation
Ooh,
to this issue. The issue being the ongoing genocide in Palestine.
Which,
They
hey,
get buried by the news.
stop doing that.
Yeah, we should stop doing that. I am not going to set myself on fire. I wish I had that courage, but I agree with his reasoning.
Yeah, that's one of those things where I always think, I'm look, everybody in the audience, you might be not hugely aware of this. I'm going through some shit recently. Things are tough here at the Josh household. And like, I'm, pretty titanically fucking depressed. And I mean, I've got drugs and therapy and I'm, working on it and I ain't dead yet. But, and I've got the easiest way out possible. Like, I take 10 pills a day for my heart. So
Yeah.
it's either just forget to refill a prescription or take an extra handful,
If you forgot to take those pills, would it be a catastrophic event?
I don't think so. I would certainly have a while before things went bad, but
Interesting.
but it does occur to me, as terribly depressed as I've been, like, if I was going to end it, I mean, would it be worth it to, like, I mean, the driving force would obviously be my own personal shit and my inability to take it. But how great would the value of the statement be, like, were I to make a statement
Right.
action, if you know what I mean?
I mean, this is a very dark topic of conversation, but
And I definitely, any statement would not involve self-immolation intentionally. That is a bridge too fucking far for me. It'd be more along the lines of, say, in Minecraft. In Minecraft, the rule is virtually anyone is killable if you don't mind dying yourself doing it.
yeah,
So, but that's in Minecraft.
that's actually on the game's wiki.
Yeah.
I feel like
A nut?
this is a great conversation for us to have off the air.
Okay.
But maybe.
Okay. Sounds good. If the audience has any has any input, let me know. Sorry if I brought us all down.
No, I just I don't want anything said that can't. Well, I mean, it can always be unsaid. I can edit it out, but
That's true.
I don't want to incriminate anybody, particularly ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, self-immolating guy. I mean, if you're legit and not, from everything I heard, if that story is true, I don't know. Do you say good for you when somebody self-immolates? I don't know what you say.
I don't know.
Solidarity. We're with you there.
Raised fist.
Yeah.
Solidarity. I mean, good man. I couldn't do it, and yeah.
So let's talk about some fun stuff we watched.
Okay, great. I've got some fun things I watched.
I've got some less than fun things, but let's start with yours.
Okay, the other day I watched a movie from 2016, which I think you had recommended to me years ago, and just out of nowhere, actually, it's probably directly related to this show, and things that have been coming up recently. I watched the 2016 film Keanu, starring
shit.
Key and Peele.
I may have recommended that. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, I think I remember you recommending that. And I was like,
We have been sending back a lot of Key and Peele memes back and forth.
yes. um, yeah, so I watched that the other night, and boy, that movie is a joy. Like,
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
not only is there very funny comedy, there is also adorable kitten action.
Yeah.
Like the kitten they got for that movie, or I assume 10 kittens they got for that movie, are the perfect, most fun kitten age. I highly recommend that film to anybody who's interested in comedy and kittens.
God, I remember so little. It might be time for a rewatch for me.
It's fucking worth it, man. There's a lot of good bits in that.
I just remember walking out of the theater thinking it was, or just having had a good time.
Yeah, just like that was like, it's not a revolutionary comedy in any way. Like, sometimes you walk out of a movie like, say, I don't know, 15 years ago, Super Bad or something, where you're like, oh shit, that is a very different thing from what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Or
like,
any not comedy, but Get Out. You walked out of that like thinking, oh shit, that there was a shift in filmmaking there. Briefly.
Yeah, it is not that at all, but fuck, it is a fun, good time.
Yeah. A good recommendo.
Yeah.
We need some lightheartedness these days. On the topic of unlightheartedness, can I give you my recommendo?
Oh, please.
I blocked off a large chunk of my schedule and watched Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, it was obviously fantastic. I knew it would be.
Yeah.
I would say interesting to watch that in a multi-ethnic relationship, a biracial relationship.
Oh, yeah.
No spoilers, but if you know, you know.
Uh-huh.
And
it directly reflects the relationship you have with your wife.
I mean, not directly.
No, it's exactly the same.
No. Once again, we're incriminating ourselves. No.
20 years ago, I said, you got to get you a blanket.
But there was some tension.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a heavy film. I mean, it was good, but it took, like, counting bathroom breaks and mental health breaks, it was like 4.5 hours to get through the whole thing.
I believe it. I think okay, and since you've seen it at this point, and probably a good chunk of our audience has, it's not a spoiler to say, I think my favorite part was the very, very, very end, where it's not quite a voiceover, but...
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Because that's something that...
That was very cool.
I grew up literally one county north of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew, like... and in my neighborhood when I was growing up, there were 2 native families who lived, like, on my street. Mm-hmm. And so I knew about the Osage murders. I've known about it for literally 40 years. And the thing that I found a little wanting in the book, and to some extent in the movie until that very last bit, was the fact that, like, the thing that always hit me about it is that it was so fucking many people.
Right.
And both the book and the movie boil it down to one kind of relationship, and then there's other shit going on in the background that, gets talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But it had such a huge fucking death toll that is almost glossed over until in the movie, that very end section. And I was like, because I spent the whole movie going, yeah, this is fucking amazing. I wish there was more reflection of the just scale of this.
Yeah, it doesn't. It feels like it's kind of limited to one area.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I cannot complain about basically anything about the movie, like, but that one aspect, like, okay, I get we're focusing on one thing to make it emblematic, but you're really dropping out the thing that this was like everywhere you fucking turned at that point.
Yeah.
There is, if and people have actually done this and looked at like census records and shit, the fucking death rates down there were psychotic.
Really?
Yeah, it was truly deranged. How many people just, died? And, it might be recorded as natural causes or whatever, but there was an entirely unnatural death rate um, among the Osage populations at the time. And I felt like the movie underplayed that until that last little bit, which really, like, I felt a lot throughout the whole fucking movie, but that last little tiny bit made me go, "Oh, okay, so yeah, Marty does recognize this and know what he's doing here. Fuck, that guy's good."
Yeah.
Turns out Martin Scorsese, pretty good director.
I don't know. I'll wait till his next movie to see for sure.
Yeah, just cement his legacy.
Yeah. No, I mean, don't disagree. Like it was soul crushing and great.
And yeah, and I really like Lily Gladstone's performance was fucking great. I mean, I loved her the couple of times she popped up on Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
But shit, she did a lot.
She was incredible, dude.
I mean,
the best part of the film.
Yeah, I feel like there were entire huge multi-page monologues that she delivered with a fucking glance. Yeah,
I don't know if it'll. I mean, I think it'll win Best Picture.
I certainly believe it. I mean, this is a kind of a weird year for the Oscars.
It is, and there's so many good ones.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was kind of rooting for Past Lives until I saw that. I don't know. I'm still kind of rooting for Past Lives because
I did. I watched that like 2 weeks ago or something on your recommendation from 2 months ago or whatever. And yeah, I enjoyed that a lot too.
Yeah,
Red Alert was really good.
Another sad one. Another one that's, it personally got to me for a number of reasons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's a fucking full list this year.
It really is. I mean, and it's one of those things like, I couldn't fault anybody for going, clicking the box next to Oppenheimer. Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things like, I really liked that movie. It was, stunning achievement of cinema. I think other things were better, but I can't, like, it's not something where I go, oh, you're an idiot.
Have you seen The Holdovers yet?
Yeah.
That's next on my list of Oscar nominees.
I really liked it. Like, way more than I expected, because I'm like 50-50 on Alexander Payne films.
Okay. I don't think I could name one.
Election, Nebraska. I could come up with a bunch more.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll IMDb him later. But everybody says that's good. I want to see that. And then I want to see American Fiction that you recommended last week, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, God. Even the fucking, like, best male or best actor race is fucking stupid this year between Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction, Paul Giamatti in The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy in Oppenheimer. Like, it's just stupid. Like,
yeah, it's I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who wins. Yeah. I guess if you care about that stuff, I don't really usually.
I mean,
but
I don't.
I've seen some of these movies, so I start to care when I've actually seen the movies.
Yeah, that helps.
My wife watched Oppenheimer while I was walking through the room several times. I am counting that.
Oh, sure.
I just have no desire to watch Oppenheimer.
I get it.
I cannot bring myself. Like, I know the broad strokes of the story, and I just don't.
Yeah,
just don't want to see it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I enjoyed it. But like I said, I think I thought other things were bigger achievements in terms of making a good movie.
Right. Like, yeah. Well, we'll see how that works out. Did you have any more recommendos?
Oh, let me look at my list real quick. I think I did. Just vaguely related to, I don't know, something. Should I tell the thing that I posted about in the sadness room the other last night?
Oh, sure. That's an interesting story for sure.
Yeah, that was fucking weird. Okay, so I, for no particular reason, and this was yesterday, the 23rd of July, 24th. Or
February.
February. Yeah. 24th of February. Don't know where I got July from. Um, so I had thought, like, oh, I should watch Matewan, which is a John Sayles movie from 1987. It's Chris Cooper's first movie role, and David Strathairn is in it. It's really good. It's about labor struggles in West Virginia in the 1920s. And just like kind of out of nowhere, I was thinking, oh, I should watch that. And I watched this movie, and I'm talking about it with my mom and my sister on text, saying, yeah, and remembering when my grandfather showed it to me, because he grew up, he was born in 1918 in West Virginia in coal country. His father was a coal miner who ended up dying when my grandfather was very young. My great-grandfather was in the Battle of Blair Mountain, which, if you listen to Leftist History podcasts, you're probably kind of familiar with as labor wars.
Yeah, I never was until I started listening to Leftist History podcast. Now I've heard it told a million times.
Yeah, exactly. So I was remembering this in text with my mother and sister, and my mom brought up I guess it would be my great uncle, my grandfather's brother. And I was trying to figure out, like, oh yeah, when did he die? And I was doing some research online and remembering how, oh yeah, my grandfather showed me this movie because I had asked him what it was like when he was growing up in company towns and coal mining and labor strife and stuff like that. And then from a link from my great uncle's obituary, I got to my grandfather's obituary and found that, of all fucking things, and this was something I was completely unconscious of, he had died February 23rd, 1998, which meant that, because of the way things worked out, I found his body February 24th, 1998. So exactly 25 years to the day.
That's so
I
trippy.
got the urge to watch, a 35-year-old film that sent me down this rabbit hole that, and it really weirded me out. Like, just was oh, man, my subconscious is really fucking me around here. This is unnaturally, this is unnaturally coincidental. You would see that in a movie and go, sure, whatever.
Yeah, that's some Magnolia level shit.
Yeah. So, fun story, everybody.
No, but I think, it's sad, but it's also like kind of a fitting tribute that your brain was just like, you're going to tribute your grandfather whether you know it or not.
Yeah, it truly blew my mind. I was like, oh yeah, hey, there's his obit, and scanned down, and then I was like, wait, it's the February 24th. Fucking what? And then just like sat there and just stared at it for solid minutes before I was able to get back to my mom and sister on the text thread and like, okay, guys, this is fucking weird. But,
yeah, what was their reaction? That's pretty nuts.
They were also quite surprised. Like, neither of them had put it together at all. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, it's not something like in my family, we don't tend to, I guess my brother would be the exception, but we don't tend to pay a lot of attention to death dates and stuff like that. And the only reason I think maybe the main reason my brother is notable is because it's also my mom's birthday. So
yeah.
that doesn't help. But
Right.
yeah, so fun times. Anyway, let's get to a show where somebody dies almost every episode.
Well, at least in the beginning.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. Let's talk about Aeon Flux. Insert montage of sounds here. I always feel like there needs to be something delineating when we're actually starting the main content.
It doesn't seem like a terrible idea.
Maybe one day I'll make it. Probably not though. So
you're skating the edge.
I am the edge. That intro plays a lot.
Yeah, and it's also fucking fire.
Yeah.
I did not realize how deeply that was embedded in my brain until I fired up the DVD.
Well, that's a good place to start, actually. Our own personal histories with Aeon Flux, and I guess just kind of a descriptor of what it is. I think it's the brainchild of was it Peter Chung? Is that his
yes,
name?
Yeah, that's correct. A guy who had worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rugrats,
yeah. But
later,
did go on to work on the Animatrix.
Later, the Animatrix.
So this isn't our last time seeing him.
No, he will be back.
I personally, I think I was going through a phase in the early 90s on MTV where I was recording shit, like VHS.
Yep.
Like Beavis and Buttheads and just random music videos that I liked.
Yeah.
And I think
as were we all.
Right, yeah. Most of us that age. I think I had a VHS of most of the Liquid TV spots of Aeon Flux, because those are all very familiar to me. The actual series, though, I had never seen. This is my first time watching.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had seen all the Liquid Television stuff. I like MTV. If you watched the special features on the DVD, they mentioned that MTV was like trying to diversify and go from we're just videos of the most popular music to we're also playing like underground videos. And we want to have some, we want to sort of have a vibe, I guess, beyond music.
Right.
And
that vibe morphed into something horrible like teen pregnancy and
eventually,
catfish and whatever else they play now.
But for a few years, it was real fucking cool.
It was.
Because they had this little show called Liquid Television, which was very weird animated shit. They were like, hey, you have an idea for an animated series and you're fucking weird? Okay, we'll put it on the air. And from that, we got Aeon Flux, Beavis and Butthead, The Max, The Head.
Right.
Also, at the same time, I think was Joe's Apartment.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Joe's Apartment. They made a movie out of that.
They did.
That used to be a thing, I guess. Like, The Simpsons started as an anthology show short, right?
Yeah, they were on the Tracy Ullman show as shorts. Yeah.
Right. It's just weird how, I don't know, how shit used to work, I guess.
Yeah, well.
Maybe it's just nostalgia, but it seems more organic.
Yeah. So they gave a guy named Peter Chung some money because he said, what if I draw this sexy lady who dies all the time?
Yeah, I saw an interview where he's like, he was working on Rugrats and he was really tired of drawing babies.
Yeah, he was like, I want to make this character exactly the opposite of what I have been doing, which is clumsy round babies stumble and fall. And I mean,
Rugrats, as far as kids' cartoons go, pretty fire show.
Oh, I have no problem with fucking Rugrats at all. In the like special features on the DVD here, it showed the opening credit or part of it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a banging Danny Elfman tune. Yeah,
that was nostalgic. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so he succeeded in having nothing like Rugrats.
Yeah. Nothing like really much American animation had really seen at that point. I feel like maybe I'm missing
No.
something.
As far as I am aware,
Obviously, anime had been doing it.
yeah, but even I don't know if even anime had gotten quite this level of stylized, and
True.
because it is like watching this show, like number one, the aesthetics are there from like second one of the first Liquid Television short.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a word on the format of this show, okay, so the pilot in quote marks is, I think, 6 2-minute shorts.
That aired like randomly in Liquid TV's first season,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that aired in random order. And most of the show can be seen in random order. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, my wife joined me for the last 3 episodes this morning, and she's like, "I'm not gonna know what's happening." I'm like, "It doesn't matter. You'll be fine."
No, it doesn't matter at all. She's a sexy lady. Trevor's a creep.
They hate each other, but also want to fuck each other.
It's great. Don't worry
It's
about it.
all you need to know.
Mutants, mutants domination. I don't know. Feet. So, and then after basically like you have about 40 odd minutes of content between the shorts and the pilot episode. And then there's the show, which is like 3 years later, it gets its own time slot as a 30-minute TV show. And then there are 10 episodes of that.
Yeah, which are pretty non-linear. They don't
They're-
really.
Yeah, like I can. The last one is the last one, but
Yeah.
the others can be kind of in really any order. Doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, the last one, I think the last one or second to last one makes some vague references to some earlier stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, that's the first time they've acknowledged that any of this stuff had happened before."
The first bit of continuity.
I also I think it's should be pointed out that if you want to watch Aeon Flux, it's streaming on, I think, Paramount Plus. Just the actual TV series. If you want to watch the shorts, it's a lot harder. So, a little life hack: it's available on DVD on Amazon for $7, which is how I bought it and watched it. So,
Yeah, 3 discs for $7 seems like a deal.
it is a deal. And I found out that my PS5 will play DVDs, so that's cool.
Nice. Yeah.
And the old Creek of the Week DVD player is still working, still spinning up like a jet engine.
Still fucking plugging along 9 years after the fact.
Yeah, I think it was $15 or something. If that.
Yeah, a little more, I think, but not much.
But yeah, I think DVD is the best way to watch it. Because you got to watch it all, which even though the Liquid TV stuff really doesn't relate to the main show, like as far as continuity or
No, and it's okay. The thing about this show is that continuity doesn't matter. This is an art project.
yeah,
Like from second one. You know, this is if you haven't seen the show, I recommend looking up some images of it. If only to just kind of see what we're talking about here. All the character designs are based on like Egon Schiele looking art from, I don't know, what was Schiele, the teens and 20s?
I have no idea what that is. I'm Googling it.
Oh, he was an artist, a very tortured and troubled fucking dude.
Egon Schiele?
Yeah, Schie.
Oh yeah, okay, I see that. Yeah, a lot of similarities.
It's very German expressionism influenced. Like all of the design for the show is fucking wild and
over the top, like
way over the top in every possible angle.
I think I don't know which episode it is, but there's one episode where like they're showing Trevor Goodchild, one of the really 2 recurring characters.
Yeah.
They're like showing him getting angry and like his face contorts demonically and like all the wrinkle. It's very cool.
Yeah, I I think I made a note of that in the episode. I'd have to read through all my notes really quick to find it. But yeah, it looks insane.
Yeah.
Like he becomes a beast momentarily.
Should we talk about our two main characters?
Yes. Okay. Our primary character, the titular, the eponymous Aeon Flux.
Accent on the Ipons.
She is a sexy dominatrix lady spy assassin for the not quite city state, the city anarchy of Monica.
Yeah, and that's from what I heard Peter Chung saying, like that's how she started out as, but then like when they developed the actual show, they didn't want her to be a representative of Monica. They wanted her to just be completely independent. So, but she is a citizen of the anarchist city state of Monica.
Yes, and yeah, that's an interesting thing that we can spend some time picking apart if we want. How, like, okay, so actually, before we get into the characters, okay, there are two, quote, city states, one of which is not a state. It's called Monica. It's, I guess, an anarchist collective. They exclusively wear black T-shirts and dominatrix gear. And then there is Breen, or Brenya.
Yeah.
The citizens are called Breens, which is an fascist-y autocracy.
Yeah.
Ruled over by Trevor Goodchild.
Who kind of hostile takes over the place.
Yeah. And they are in eternal conflict because the autocrats hate the idea of the anarchists and so on and so forth. So while Aeon, then we get
into... They're part of one city, right? They're like a city divided down the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of a Berlin Cold War thing. So whether or not an anarchist city-state ? Can send people on missions is anybody's guess. But that's the central conflict. It's between freedom and control. Yeah. And then the fun, sexy part is that Trevor really wants to be controlled by sexy dominatrix anarchist lady.
Yeah, and she's not against it either.
Yeah, she is definitely not.
I really liked Trevor. I know he's a bad guy and he's the fascist.
Oh, he is, yeah.
But man, what a great bad guy fascist character.
And the performance, the voice performance is fucking great.
Trevor's voice was, I don't know, it was powerful, man. It took me back, which I know I've never seen the series all the way through, but his voice sounded so familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I've heard the guy in something else. But...
Oh, he was apparently on the Spawn TV series and in Vampire Hunter D.
Two things I've enjoyed in my youth.
Yeah. Let's see.
But I think I haven't picked one out yet. I'm going to try to get a Trevor monologue to put at the beginning of this because there were about 1,000 of them.
Oh, he was also in Trigun, the English dub. Huh.
Both the voice actors of the two main, some of the non-main characters are not good, but Aeon and Trevor are very good voice actors.
Yeah, they really are. And I started out, and here's the story of the DVDs, by the way, is that if you buy the DVDs, dear audience, understand that the pilot and the shorts are on the third disc. Because I started with the first disc and was like, wow, there is a lot of talking on here. I did not remember that. And then I sort of did some research and figured it out, and went back to the third disc and watched all the pilot and the shorts, which are not silent, but I don't know. There's like 3
Aeon
lines
says one
of
word.
dialogue. Yeah, I mean, there's
he says the word plop.
Yeah,
it's not even a word; it's an onomatopoeia. But I don't love how they put that together because the featurettes and the Liquid TV stuff is presented as a special feature, and
Yeah.
the main DVD is being sold as the TV series. I mean, I feel like they should have just whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all
Like,
there. But
I kind of understand why they did that, but at the same time, it would have been very easy to do it in accurate order, question mark.
yeah.
You know?
Quick question: did you watch any of the commentary tracks?
I did not watch any of the commentary tracks. I watched some of the, like, production shorts and kind of looking back things, but not the commentaries.
I watched the original pilot commentary, and I think maybe one or two of the featurettes with commentary as well. They were being very. Peter Chung did not want to tell everybody what was happening, so he would start like what he intended. And he's like, "Never mind, you figure it out for yourself." He kept doing that over and over.
I 100% agree with that reading of the TV show.
Yeah, I do too. But it was also frustrating because I was like,
Oh, yeah.
what was he intending? Oh, never mind. Fuck.
Yeah, and I think that is the fun and interesting thing about this show. Like, okay, to throw some more context into this, at the same time, MTV also originating from Liquid TV and then getting its own series. There's a show called The Max, which is based.
I really want to watch now again.
Oh yeah, which is based on some comic books by a guy named Sam Keith, and it is in the whole a very detailed psychological examination of trauma and child abuse and sexual assault told through comic book characters. And
I remember I watched most of that as a kid, and it was heavy shit for
it
like
is
15-year-old me.
It is incredibly heavy, and so it's a very directed, like, hey, this is what I am trying to do. Like, it has a very clear goal from like minute fucking one, even if it's not clear to the audience. The goal is we are going to dig up these things, like how trauma creates these responses and why we find comfort in reliving our trauma and things like that. Aeon Flux, on the other hand, is simply a matter. It's definitely similar in that it is clearly a piece of art and it is meant to be examined and taken seriously. But at the same time, it is very much you bring your own shit to this. It's there are so many things, and we'll talk about it through the I'm sure through our talk of the episodes. Like, there are a bunch of times where I just like I don't know what the last 10 minutes of this episode means at all.
Yeah.
But it fucking ruled. Aeon was running and jumping, and then there were mutants, and it was great. But what does it mean? I don't know.
That's like everyone. They all ended in such weird, often abrupt ways where you're just left thinking, like, what did I just witness? And yeah, you're supposed to put it together yourself, which I really appreciate. I hate being handheld, which a lot of media these days feels like they're just holding your hand. And a lot of media consumption, people are unwilling to just let something be art and for them to interpret it any way they want.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's good and interesting enough that I am willing to just go along for the ride. Like, oh, I understand. We clearly have a point here that we're shooting for, and I do not get it right now, but this shit is so beautiful and kinetic and interesting. Great. Like, I'll sit here and watch it.
One more question that I have before we dive into it. How cyberpunk is Aeon Flux?
Well, that's...
And maybe we should save it to the end, but we always rushed at the end.
Yeah, that's a good question. Some cyberpunk? I think it's definitely way punk.
I'd say it's a lot more biopunk than
yeah.
cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's true. it definitely has the punk part of cyberpunk. There are cyber things.
Yeah, there are a few. It's got the dystopia for sure.
It's definitely got the dystopia, and it has. I mean, the main focus of the show is against the dystopia. Like that is basically the entirety of Aeon's motivation.
Right.
It is to be against.
Trevor, charming though he may be, is clearly the bad guy.
Yeah, he's a bad guy. He wants to control everybody.
Although he's got like his motivations. He wants to control everybody, but he also wants to save humanity from whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, once again, and it varies from episode to episode too, depending on the needs of the given story. But
That is true.
I think it definitely belongs in the cyberpunk genre. It's not.
It's not the most cyberpunk thing we've seen by any means.
Yeah, and it's definitely more on the existence side of cyberpunk than like the I don't know, edge runners side.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And also, I mean, in terms of note in that direction is that this came out like the first Liquid TV shorts were 91. So, I mean, cyberpunk in terms of non-literary work in 1991 was nothing almost.
Yeah.
So it's not like this was trying for cyberpunk and failed. This was being its own thing. And cyberpunk.
Well, I mean, the genre was still forming. Like it was throwing its own stuff into the mix.
Yeah.
I agree.
We both agree wholeheartedly with everything everyone said.
Yes.
Great show. Let's move on.
Should we? Anything else to say overall, or should we start going ep by ep?
Let's just try to go ep by ep, I guess. Okay. All right. So the series, and I quote this, I put that in big quote marks, starts with Aeon Flux just mowing dudes down.
So we are talking about the pilot episode, the first, which is oftentimes described as its first season, which even though it's one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Aeon Flux just mowing dudes down. Just like 10 times the lobby scene in The Matrix.
Basically, yeah. And it's also iconic. Like that's kind of what I've always thought of when I pictured the show.
I really think that the Wachowskis were definitely paying homage to Aeon Flux in the movie. Like,
there's no way Aeon Flux didn't.
Yeah, it's not something I was consciously aware of, I think, when The Matrix came out.
No,
but
looking back now, how could it not have had some impact on them?
Yeah, everything in the show looks very cool and is fucking ultra violent, and like everything that Trinity does in The Matrix could very easily be something that Aeon does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, the fucking jump up in the air, slow-mo kick, fucking bullet dodging, all that shit is Aeon.
Okay, real quick, I had to Google it, and Screen Rant here, an article from 2021 says that the Wachowski sisters refer to Aeon Flux as part of the...
Yeah, clearly. There's, I mean, even once...
Heavily influenced 1999's The Matrix.
Yeah, even once we get down to the more philosophical aspects of Aeon Flux, where we get into Gnosticism and stuff with the demiurge.
I love that episode. We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. Like, there's not an episode of the show that I don't love, I don't think.
Some of them are weirder than others, but
yeah.
The fucking cube and the whatever.
What does it mean? I have no fucking idea, but I'm here for it 100%.
I feel like some of the episodes they're like trying to, I don't know, make a philosophical point or make some type of point. And some of them they're just like, wouldn't it be cool if they had to fight their way through a cube that's floating in this poison liquid?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be awesome? And the secondary lead in this episode has to make a choice between loving her boyfriend who is going to die and Yeah.
We're jumping the gun. We'll get to there.
Yeah, we are. Okay, so the first episode, Aeon is mowing down hundreds of dudes. Then we get like, okay, and then we see she has a mission. It's a map and a photo of a really weird looking dude who, like the implication is that this is her target.
Yeah.
This is who she's going to kill. And then we go to this weird cartoon hallucination in a sea of blood of the people she's just killed.
Yeah, you can kind of tell where they split up for the different little 2-minute chunks. The buckets of blood portion, which is what they actually called that in the director's commentary.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Very cool, because you switch the POV to the stormtroopers, which are basically what the Breen soldiers are. And you get to see they're not like faceless stormtroopers. They're people, and they're suffering, and they have a disease.
Yeah.
And there's so much blood.
And there is lots and lots of blood. Yeah, and I think that's an important, especially between this and the shorts. And then it does carry on into the series as a whole, but a little less so.
Yeah. The shorts are definitely more artistic, more, I don't know, it's avant-garde the right word?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think avant-garde is a very good way to put it.
The show has to be a show, so
yeah,
it can't be what the shorts are.
Yeah.
But I love them both for different reasons.
Yeah, and one of the things in the shorts and the pilot is that at certain points you, I guess, sort of realize that you switch viewpoints or something, and it basically Aeon Flux is, I don't know, fucking Deus Ex Machina. Mm-hmm. She, like, you're just walking a patrol, and then suddenly this psychotically sexy lady gusts you like a fish, right, and like ruins your entire life and throws your body at your girlfriend to make a point or something, and that's it. That's the whole point of the short.
Shouldn't have been a fascist.
Yeah. And yeah, that does get left behind as we get to the series.
Yeah, she's much less of just a killing machine in the series.
Yeah.
Although she still kills plenty.
Oh yeah, she certainly does. So yeah, the brain troops have some sort of disease. And it causes them to hallucinate as they're dying from being shot to death hundreds of times by Aeon Flux.
Yeah. A real quick note of just some of the artistic stuff. Like, it's the little things that drew me to this when I was a teenager. Like in the buckets of blood scene, the guy, or his girlfriend, a female soldier that may be his girlfriend, props him up with a gun. And like as he's breathing, his head is moving, and a little thing in his helmet is like hitting the trigger of the gun, which is causing it to shoot little bubbles of air.
Yeah,
I don't know. That shit was so cool to me as a kid.
Like, okay, look, number one, a thing that we have failed to communicate so far is that this show is top of coolness,
especially 90s cool. Yeah,
yeah. There is very little that is cooler than this show. Like, even if it's not good cool, it is so cool. Like, it's hard to oversell how cool this show is.
Yeah, I agree.
Just everything is fucking neat in one way or another.
Fucking neat.
Yeah.
But also, like, little details are not ignored or not.
Yeah.
All the details mean something and have a purpose, I feel like.
Yeah, it's all weird and cool and interesting. And I mean, which
Sounds
made
like
it,
you're describing me.
which made it absolutely perfect to be a high teenager and watching.
Yeah. Or even a not high teenager, but just likes what high people liked.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it really, like, I don't know. It's hard to explain how, like, my brain was very plastic when I watched this show, and it encoded a lot of stuff in there. Like, oh, so this is what things that are cool are. Okay, let me take notes.
Yeah, it's pretty clear that our commentary on this is going to be biased due to the fact that we were both very pubescent boys when it came out, and this show was
And-
kind of partly made for pubescent boys.
And oh yeah, it is deeply horny.
Deeply horny. I had to describe that to my wife too when we were watching it. I'm like, by the way, this aired at like midnight on MTV in the early 90s. It is very horny, but yet standards and practices were a thing. So everything is very like metaphorical and
Yeah, it's
innuendos and
it like this is even more horny than Existenz.
yeah.
Like this is by far the horniest thing we've seen by a good margin. Like Existenz, I think so. I mean, Existenz was pretty fucking horny.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was.
But I mean, boy, for sustained horniness, this show fucking kills it.
When Gravity Fails had some pretty horny stuff.
That's true, yeah.
I'm just looking through our
Let's see. Yeah, I don't have my list brought up.
Yeah, no, this is the horniest.
I mean, and I don't think there's any disputing that. It like until we get to an actual soft porn,
Yeah, which we might.
we might eventually. I don't know. I mean, I think this might take the cake for horniest.
Yeah.
Like, and even, you know, once we get to the Matrix films, which are pretty fucking horny,
Yeah.
I think a lot of their horniness was taken from this.
But plus this aired on cable. This wasn't like a movie,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
R-rated thing. It was on cable.
Yeah,
It was accessible to young, impressionable 15-year-olds like us.
fucking Channel 35, man.
Yeah.
Not even pay cable. This is basic cable.
All right, we got to get through these episodes.
Okay, so then we meet Trevor for the first time. We don't know his name is Trevor. He's blonde. He's
Very
wearing
severe, long face.
he has a very severe long face, a Nehru collar, and like suspenders. And he collects a beetle from all of these diseased troops.
Yeah.
Then we go back to Aeon, and apparently there's a briefcase with purple goo in it.
Yeah. A lot of goo in this. That
Yeah.
is like Existence in that way.
Yeah, that's true. It is pretty gooey.
It's goo heavy.
Yeah. And we also learn that Aeon Flux is pretty cool in the Indiana Jones way, in that this guy is about to attack her, like swinging this knife around and looking all cool, and she just shoots him.
I love that they try that again in season 2,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work out the way they expect.
Mm-hmm. So there's this suitcase with purple goo.
She is not interested in the goo.
No, she is uninterested, but it does seem important.
Yeah. People were fighting for it.
Yeah. So she hides in an elevator, which is also a bathroom, while Trevor makes out with a chick. And they're going up this elevator. And this is a running theme in the show. Elevators are also bathrooms and lounges.
Yeah. That's true.
She's heading towards a penthouse target and steps on attack. Trevor is doing some shit with the goo that he got, and pulls the beetle out of his finger because he hid the beetle in a cut in his finger.
Yeah, he's got like a compartment.
As you do.
It's cyberpunk.
Yeah, cyberpunk. And then there's a news report that this girl was watching by basically Charlie Brown's teacher, you know, about...
By the way, to cut in the commentary, they had the sound design guy along with Peter Chung doing it. So the sound design guy said that he was basically told the day of that he had to, voice that news report, and he panicked and didn't know what to do. So that's just him going, "Brr, brr, brr, brr," just,
Yeah.
it's his own voice because he did not know, he didn't have the time to match up words to the mouth or anything like that. So he just panicked.
Okay, that sounds right. Yeah.
He also gave an interesting caveat for the future that MTV wouldn't allow them to use actual gun sounds or have actual guns.
Oh.
That's why all the guns for the main series are like pew pews. In this, they're guns
Yeah, that's
because it's liquid
true.
television. But eventually, when they did the series, he said they couldn't use guns.
I did not notice that. That's That's very
You
interesting.
remember, MTV was getting a lot of trouble back then.
Oh, yeah.
They were getting sued constantly. Remember the Beavis and Butthead fire thing?
Yeah.
That they got in trouble for that, and they had to take all the references to fire out of Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
Which, like, for a 15-year-old kid, like, that was like the joke we were constantly saying.
Yeah.
What a loss.
Eric, R.I.P. Eric and I have a good friend who who went Beavis and Butthead and never came back.
Kind of just turned into Beavis. Yeah.
Yeah, he really did.
I don't think he even knows.
No, I don't either. I don't either. Yeah. Anyway,
it was very influential on our generation. We have very specific cusper, zillennial, whatever you want to fucking call it, MTV generation, where this stuff was very.
It was the most influential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this news report about both the war with Monica and Breen and also a beetle disease. Trevor is inoculated. You can see he's got a one of the little smallpox vaccination scars on his shoulder. Aeon gets stuck by the tack that got stuck in her boot as she's about to kill her target guy.
Which, by the way, I know is the sound of a nail going into styrofoam.
Oh, sure. I believe that. Makes sense. She falls off the roof. Her body blows up. And then we cut to Monica, where her apartment is torched.
Yeah.
By robots, because there's somebody who's been monitoring this whole thing, finds out she's died, and like presses a button, and her apartment goes up in flames.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some weird hallucinatory foot licking.
It's sexy foot fetish heaven.
Yeah. And then
that was when Peter Chung was like, use your own brain, figure out what you want, because he started to say this is some kind of afterlife, and then he like stopped himself.
Yeah. And that's the end of the pilot, everybody. The main character dies after not saying a word and killing a bunch of fucking people.
And Trevor Goodchild sticks his tongue in a lady's mouth.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty fucking sexy.
I mean, it's a great pilot.
It really is.
Definitely nostalgic watching it, especially the blood scene. I don't know, that was really...
Yeah.
Maybe I just had that one recorded, that little short or something, and I watched it a bunch.
I had seen, similarly, I had a number of VHS cassettes that I would set to the EP mode, so I could get as much fucking time on them as possible.
Right, and it all looked like trash, but who cares?
It all looked like shit, but I had the entirety of the Max. I had, I think, most of Aeon Flux and a good chunk of Liquid Television.
Yeah.
I think there were a handful of things that I didn't have of Aeon Flux because there was definitely stuff through here that I did not recognize.
Yeah.
And then there was like tons of other stuff which I was like, oh man, this like hugely imprinted on my brain somehow. I had no idea I was running off the script for the past 30 years.
So weird. Like when people called us the MTV generation, I'd roll my eyes and be like, whatever, MTV, who cares?
Whatever, man.
Until we like watch this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, like that shit raised me. Or like Beavis and Butthead has come back with new episodes recently. And I watched some of them. I'm like, oh my fucking God, how important was this to me as a young person?
That's like 15 years ago, probably. The State finally came out on DVD.
The State was huge. Yeah.
And I remember sitting and watching it and being just dumbstruck, like, oh man, every word of this is like, it's not even imprinted. It just is the fabric of my brain.
It's so crazy how much this one network influenced like a micro generation of people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's honestly creepy in retrospect.
Yeah.
Like, I guess we are the example of like, oh yeah, media does hugely define us.
Yeah. I'd rather it be this stuff than other options.
Yeah, the thing is, on the upside, since it was Aeon Flux, It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, hardly anybody can watch this and not go, well, I can see why this is cool.
Yeah, exactly. All right, how we can burn through these next shorts pretty quick, right?
Okay, yeah. The first one is War. Aeon shoots a bunch of motherfuckers, almost gets taken out, and then dies.
IMDb has War as the last one. I wonder.
See, that's another thing I've noticed. The DVD and Wikipedia and IMDb have these all in completely different fucking orders.
Oh wow. Okay. So are you going off the DVD?
Yeah, just the order I wrote notes in. If you want to go off of what you've got, I can just scroll down and I don't have to click through different documents.
I've seemed to remember War being first. So, because that's another one I watched with the director's commentary. So it would have been first on the DVD. So
yeah,
I don't know. It doesn't matter as long as we get to them all. War is definitely one I had recorded because I could remember that one beat for beat.
Yeah, instant for instant.
And this is the part where she confronts the katana guy in the hallway, and not she. Okay, the thing about War is it's constantly changing points of view.
Yeah.
To a new hero, so that you never know who's the hero of the episode. Like it starts with Aeon, and she gets killed pretty early in,
and then the viewpoint switches to a Breen soldier who takes the fight to the Monicans, who then gets killed
by the sword guy.
The Monican sword guy.
And he does that thing where he like flips the sword around and looks all cool, and you can actually see the Breen soldier like looking at his gun like, huh. He lifts it to shoot him, and then bling, he deflects the bullet.
Yeah.
Kills him, and it's badass.
Yeah, it really is.
And that guy's got a daughter.
Yes, he does, who he's protecting.
Right.
Then the next one I have is Gravity.
Yes. Well, Gravity's listed, whatever.
Why don't you go in whatever order you have?
Okay, well, episode 1 on IMDb is Gravity. While trying to nab an airborne target, Aeon misses a jump and falls to her death.
Yep.
And most of the episode is her falling.
Yeah. So Aeon and Trev are on a monorail with an airplane beside it. Mm-hmm. And they are both leaning out the window, making out.
Graphically.
Very. Yeah, they make out. Like in the most sexual way. She gets a message out of a hidden compartment in his tooth.
That she picks with her tongue.
Yes.
Very horny show.
Yeah, very horny show. She ends up falling off the airplane that she's in and spends like 5 minutes falling and observing construction workers doing something.
Yeah, where she can almost see.
Yeah, she can almost see. She pulls out binoculars as she is falling to her death. And then she dies.
Yeah.
she just dies.
It's hilarious that although Aeon is presented as this like super competent, badass assassin infiltrator, she's also a klutz.
Yeah, I mean, if you're that sexy and you're walking on that many narrow edges, it's gonna happen.
There's a video on YouTube if you search for it. When I was doing research, it's all of Aeon's fuck ups. Like it's not yakety sax, but it's set to some it's set to some goofy music, and it's pretty funny because when you put them back to back, she fucks up a lot.
Yeah.
After Gravity, we have Mirror. When entering a complex, Aeon is recorded on video.
Yes. So she's observing a mansion from a hillside, breaks in, finds a VCR recording a camera that was recording her.
Trips and falls off a ladder.
Yeah. Fails to notice somebody following her in. Spills some coffee, goes to the bathroom to clean it up. Then her target gets killed by somebody else. And she's like, wait, what the fuck happened? Because this guy's suddenly dead. And she chases the person who was following her out and gets shot, and turns out it was Trevor. Boom, dead.
The end.
Yeah.
I don't have any particularly strong memories of that one, except for her falling down the ladder is animated in a very strange way.
Yeah.
And then later she sees a video recording of her falling down the ladder and like rolls her eyes and looks embarrassed. The third one I have is Leisure. Aeon attempts to gather some strange alien eggs.
This is
It's a weird one.
sexy? Question mark. Okay, so it's Eon on a day off? Question mark. She opens up a kitchen cabinet, and there's Trevor
Trevor's in there eating eggs.
eating a raw egg. He is bound up in shibari. I don't know all the bondage terms.
You gotta remember, this is before Trevor had a name. He was just he's developed as a character
protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes to a spaceship to get more eggs. She simulates pooping out one of them and looks at the embryo. And then there's this mutant thing that traps and then kills her.
Mutant is Trevor, right? I think he mutated into this thing after eating these eggs.
Oh, was that it? Okay, fair.
He had like
Yeah,
Trevor's
I believe
head
that.
in a weird mutant body that chases her through a laser. They love making Eon jump through lasers.
Lasers and monofilament wires.
Yeah.
That's a recurring theme.
The next one I have is Tide. Aeon attempts to escape an ocean platform.
Yes. Okay, so she's trying to get a key.
This is my favorite one. I love this short.
Yeah, she's trying to get a key from Trevor, who is chained up in a bathroom elevator at a construction site. There's also a blonde spy lady with her.
Yeah, she's dressed in breen color, so she must have been a double agent or something.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's hard to tell who's a double agent and who's a quadruple agent in the show. And there's a lot of, okay, try to get this key, run outside, see where we are.
Because they're in an elevator, and the elevator's slowly going down, because at the beginning, Trevor takes his hand and hits all the numbers, so it's got to stop at every floor.
Yeah. And we end up and every floor, Eon has to run outside and check to see if something is somewhere.
She has to run outside, avoid getting shot by the breen soldier that's taking the stairs and chasing them. And then she's got to check a door to see if the key works in the door, because she has the key, but she doesn't know which door it opens.
Yeah, and it's not clear what she is getting into this door for.
Mm-mm. But after she checks the door, she has to take aim at this weird pendulum that's trying to go down into this slot.
I called it a plumb bob.
Bob, yeah, that's good too. Anyway, it's trying to go into a hole outside in the ocean.
Yeah, with a dude standing by it and directing it in. And this happens 6 times, I think.
I think so, yeah. And she has to shoot it each time to get it to...
Yeah.
They have to basically start over on there.
Yeah, and eventually it works out, so Eon dies.
Well, the double agent is actually a triple agent, because she's fucking Trevor or kissing Trevor or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, and kicks Eon, and Eon breaks the back of her skull on a chair.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that the whole goddamn thing was to find a plug for a bathtub, effectively.
Yeah.
Because that's what the plumb bob pulls out. And then the ocean construction site thing sinks.
It sinks. I guess the plug would have stopped that from happening.
It was a replacement plug. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. The important thing was you have to watch Eon go down 5 floors and do the same thing every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. The last one I have is War.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's correct.
I wonder if the actual series episodes are in the correct order or not.
They are not, assuming you're going by IMDb.
Yeah, that's going to be confusing to me, but we can keep doing that if you want.
I'm fine with whatever order you've got, because like I said, all I have to do is fucking scroll.
Okay.
And you have to click to new shit. So.
True. All right, so that's the end of all the shorts. Those are all about, what, like 5 or 6 minutes apiece?
Something like that. That's season 2, quote marks.
Right, which aired on, I believe, season 2 of Liquid Television.
Yeah.
So season 3, which is when it becomes an actual TV show. And at this point, I notice kind of a drop in quality of the animation.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah, I think there's economy of scale issues going on.
The 6 5-minute episodes is 30 minutes of animation you have to do for season 2. These are 21-minute episodes.
22 a piece, yeah.
So I say it's a small drop in quality from the shorts, but it's still much higher than most anything else you'd see on TV.
Yeah, and all the design is fucking wicked, I believe, is the technical term.
Fucking wicked. Yeah, it is. So for season 3, episode 1, according to IMDb, we have Utopia or Deuteranopia.
Yes.
Aeon discovers Trevor Goodchild, the new leader of the nation of Bregna, may have something to do with the disappearance of the former president Clavius, which I believe that is the one on same as the first episode on the DVD.
Yes, that is correct. This was one I had real strong memories of. Like, I must have seen this one a bunch.
Interesting. I had none.
It's deeply horny.
Yes. The intro might be the intro I use for this episode, if I think about it, is Trevor's little monologue. Depends on how bad the music syncs up with our theme song music, but
sure. Yeah. Okay. So we start out with Trevor giving a media interview about former Prime Minister Clavius. And we cut around to Aeon running around and like sticking grenades in places.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aeon's sneaking around. We don't know anything about Monica or Breen or anything at this point. She's sneaking around, and it turns out that Trevor has Clavius trapped in his secret basement, which is accessed by laying down in bed, and then a dummy switches places with him. And then he climbs down a ladder into a secret basement. And then he monologues to Clavius for a minute.
Who seems to be a living man.
Yes. And also he is trapped out of time
I
somehow.
don't know. Cool effect. It was very awesome, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, he's like, you see Clavius, and he's this big fat guy, and he's vibrating. Like the animation is vibrating for Clavius and not his surroundings. And then Trevor puts on this like harness thing and clicks a switch, and then he's vibrating at the same speed, and they like stabilize,
which allows them to communicate while the rest of the world vibrates around them.
Yeah, it's a really very cool fucking effect. And I feel like I've seen that other places. I don't know if it was before or after this.
Yeah,
but
it does seem familiar.
Anyway, he like has a conversation with Clavius about how Clavius sucks, and that Trevor is going to regain, keep control and whatever. And then climbs into Clavius's stomach where he has a sex pad.
Yep.
Which is cool and normal.
And a dress.
A white dress. And then we go back to Aeon, who attacks a bunch of guards and then makes out with this guy named Gildemir, who is a Breen, I don't know, lieutenant or something.
He's a loyalist to the Emperor Clavius. He doesn't trust Trevor.
Yeah, he wants to return Clavius to power because he thinks Trevor has usurped and done a coup d'etat. And then, okay, things get a little confused. So she makes out with Gildemir.
One thing that is important to point out is that, and it's started from the beginning, is the importance to Trevor of openness, he calls it. And basically, he's set up this massive surveillance state where everything everybody does is watched, including him. He demonstrates this by when he's describing it to the news lady by taking his clothes off and standing naked in front of the news cameras.
It's very sexy.
Very sexy. And so basically, and then later there's like clips of him watching some other, famous people doing stuff they're not supposed to on camera. The only place that isn't on camera is his little hole where he keeps Clavius under his bed.
Sub-basement. Yeah.
Which I liked. I think this got into some cyberpunk stuff with surveillance states and whatnot.
Yeah. Trevor chases Aeon around. Gildemir finds the key to the secret basement and sees Clavius. And then, then we have a really weird, fun scene where Aeon cucks Trevor by getting a pedicure at like a sex farm. I don't know. It's it's weird.
It is.
Trevor's
It's a very
like,
horny episode in a season of horny episodes.
Yeah. And then there's this big confrontation in the fuck pad under Trevor's bed.
I liked the scene where, was it this episode, when she captures Trevor and ties him up and makes him watch her
Yes, that
almost
was
fuck Clavius?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Gildemir.
Yeah, sorry. Characters that will never show up again.
Yeah. And Gildemir wakes Clavius up, and it turns out he's very mad, like in the insane sense.
Yeah.
And also very corrupt. He's talking about fucking aliens and all sorts of crazy bullshit. Gildemir ends up killing him. And then when this is all coming out and everybody's escaping and everything gone to hell, Gildemir is trying to explain to Breen troops, like, no, Trevor was keeping him capture or secret with this and blah blah blah. And it turns out that this really cool looking key is a very common key to chastity belts.
Yeah, everybody has one.
Yeah, everybody's got one, including Aeon and a bunch of the Breen troopers. It's a fun time. Gildemir is crushed and imprisoned, I guess.
Yeah. Is that the end?
That's the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
This episode not making any particular philosophical points, I don't think. It's just like kind of showing the world, showing that Aeon's generally a good character and Trevor's generally a bad character.
And quote, weird shit.
Weird shit. Very horny.
Climbing into the former prime minister.
Yeah.
Where you've got
God,
a fuck pad.
Weird.
Yeah.
They do end up in the fuck pad, and she's like, is this all for me?
Yeah, we do definitely. Okay, we know at this point that Trevor and Aeon are acquainted somehow, and that Trevor has a powerful yearning for her.
Yeah, and I think she has one for him too. I think it's a mutual like attraction.
Yeah, I don't think it's
which is fun to watch. So let's move on to what IMDb says the next one, but I'm sure wasn't on my DVDs, and that is Isthmus Crypticus. Trevor falls in love with...
that's like...
Yeah, it's like one of the last ones.
Yeah.
Trevor falls in love with and imprisons an anthropomorphic bird creature while Aeon attempts to free the creature's mate.
Yeah. Okay. And one of the nice things about these full episodes is that right at the beginning, it has a couple of sentences, maybe a paragraph of kind of, a setup, because all they want to do is just drop you into whatever the fuck it is. Mm-hmm. And this one, it was like, Trevor has a secret being kept locked away, and that's it. So we start with this dude who has spring legs and socks full of pills.
Pretty cyberpunk.
Yeah. And those pills are also programmable wasps? Question mark.
Yeah.
And his name is Ilbrin. And Aeon shows up. And Ilbrin is apparently a researcher for Bregna. And he is fallen in love with a sexy bird lady who is also blindfolded.
I think because if you see in their eyes, you fall in love with them.
Yeah. He's apparently a researcher or something. And she's a fucking bird lady. I don't know what more to say.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah. And he wants to hire Aeon to break her out, I guess.
And he's offering her a bucket of money, and she's like, I don't want money, because she's an anarchist. What they fucking use for money?
Yeah. And then he tempts her with a male sexy bird.
Yeah. She has a mate.
And she's like, I don't know. Nah, whatever. And then a mechanical worm attacks?
Sure.
Which this mechanical worm has appeared previously.
Well, not
Yeah.
according to IMDb's. Like, I wonder.
Yeah,
This has their air dates. This says this one aired August 15th, 1995, my mom's birthday.
It had appeared previously in DVD order. These mechanical worms are like a Trevor thing. It only appears in like 2 episodes.
There's a couple of Trevor inventions that pop up. I like his. I don't know if they're implants,
His
but
balloon backpack,
balloon backpack and his feet jetpacks.
jet legs. Yeah. So a mechanical worm
He's got
attacks.
2 ways to fly.
Yeah, Trevor rules.
He knows he's going to be falling off shit. He's prepared.
Okay, so the mechanical worm breaks up the party. Aeon runs away. Fucking Ilbrin runs away. Whatever. Then we cut to completely random shit with some street kids who are slingshotting a pigeon. Yeah, and a lady who's like, "Oh, you shouldn't have shot that pigeon." And it has a photo of the male, and these are called seraphs.
Yeah.
In the series, the male sexy bird wrapped around his leg like a carrier pigeon would.
She instantly falls in love.
Yeah, she instantly falls in love. Then Aeon shows up. Turns out this lady is a Monacan agent. She does translation and decoding and is a former lover of Aeon. Her name is Una.
Yep.
And she basically negotiates a deal with Aeon. Will you help this bird in exchange for the translation? And then we cut to Trevor giving a monologue about his role in the dystopia and how he wants to fuck the bird.
Yeah.
It's pretty hot.
No arguments here.
Yeah. Then Una's boyfriend shows up. He interrupts her translation. They break up.
He really just ain't no Birdman.
Yeah, he no Birdman. He wants his Shattered Figures cassette back, which really tells you when this was. It was before CDs completely took over.
Right. Good times. Remember what the smell of a new tape? I can picture it so clearly.
Yeah, I remember slicing open a new 10-pack of Maxells.
Yeah, getting ready to make mixtapes.
Yeah.
This podcast is for people between the ages of like 38 and 50.
Yeah, it really is.
And nobody else.
Yeah. So anyway, Una fell asleep and she got distracted by her ex-boyfriend. So Aeon takes her into the field. Trevor is dressed up in a sexy little bird outfit.
That's right. I forgot. He made a bird outfit. Yeah.
Looks like he's ready for Carnival, which is, this time of year. So he is on theme for us. He ends up getting attacked by Ilbrin because Ilbrin thinks that Trevor is stealing his true love, the female bird. Aeon's sneaking around, and Aeon apparently has a what's it called? There's a name for it, but basically directions through tunnels to like a word map. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, like she's getting directions from Una.
She's got MapQuest printed out. Yeah, but it's in another language that Una has to.
That's a good way to do it.
Really?
Well, that's a good way to say it.
Okay.
It's not a good way to do it at all.
No, it's bad.
She should use Google Maps.
Especially if Una is like distracted by her bird fuckboy and keeps giving you the wrong goddamn directions.
Yeah, and it turns out the pigeon escaped, and it flaps by, and Una gets distracted by the pigeon because it's going back to the bird people. Chases it very recklessly and gets seen. She tricks Aeon into a trap in the Seraph chamber. And right at the same time, Ilbrin enters the female enclosure. And then the lady bird person, Jesus Christ, it's almost like a Kids in the Hall bit. The chicken lady gets stung by one of Ilbrin's wasps.
Right.
And dies just as Aeon blows open a hole between the female and the male chambers. Yeah. And then Una manages to rescue / attach herself, like get held by the male bird person, and they fly off into the sky, and then a mite crawls out of its feathers and bites her. And that's the end of the episode, everybody.
Yep. Figure out yourself what happened with that mite.
Yeah. What's it mean? Nobody know. It's great, though. Okay.
Season 3, episode 3, according to IMDb, is Thanatophobia. Aeon gets involved with a troubled couple living next door when she notices Trevor meddling in their lives.
Yes, this is
Another
a
horny
fun.
one.
This is a very fucking horny one. Yeah. So these two people want to escape over to Monica from Breen. One of them, the lady, Sybil, is a little bit more questioning, should we move over? Doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah.
And she ends up getting shot in the spine during the escape attempt. She gets some repairs, but we'll have to pay for it with conscription. And these repairs mean that she now has this cool bendy spine that has like a removable part. And then Trevor starts finger fucking her spine.
He finger fucks her spine hole, yes.
A couple of times. It
was something
sexy
for him, too.
Oh, yeah, he was definitely getting shit out of it.
In fact, after their first encounter, he does say, was it good for you? Like the classic gag.
Yeah, it's this one is real horny.
At one point, this is where you get to learn more about the city that they're living in, which I like, but she is trying to get to the other side because that's where her boyfriend is.
Yeah.
And they meet up, they find this hole in a wall that because of her spine deformity, she can like twist underneath this fence and like look them face to face through this hole. At one point, they decide to fuck through this hole.
It's definitely a thing that I saw on my television.
Because this is, basic cable in the 90s, they have to heavily imply what's happening. And like they showed the dude, finishing. Yeah, but they couldn't like have him act out orgasm sounds. So he just kind of went, "Ugh!" And then he looks to the sky and there's like birds flying into the sun and little sperm come out of the sun. And that's how they're showing this dude just nutted all up in the spine hole chick.
Yeah, this is a wild episode. It's pretty great. It's also like, this is one of the episodes where we see the moral ambiguity of Aeon Flux, where she's not just helping everybody for any reason they give her.
Right.
She's kind of like, I don't know, man, do you really want to do something? Is it worth my effort?
Yeah. And we also like Trevor, for his part, is a weird, horny freak, but he does seem to care about Sybil a little bit, at least. Like, he doesn't want her to go off and get herself killed for no reason anyway.
This is the episode in which I wrote, quote, "This ep is possibly too fucking horny."
It might be the horniest episode of a very horny show. We'll see as we go through.
And we've established at the beginning of the episode that there's a very heavily armed border wall to keep the Breens from escaping over to Monica. Yeah. And there are guns and shit.
And this does come up again.
Yeah. And there's like a city council or something, ? Where one of the people is like, we should just stop them from doing it. We should like have some scissors at the border or something. And like, snip, snip. And that's how the episode ends. Sybil goes to try and escape across because she's been doing horny spine stuff with Trevor, but has also seen Aeon doing horny stuff with her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because they're
it was implied that she could be doing some horny stuff with Aeon.
Yeah. So she goes to make an escape attempt and ends up losing her legs and becoming a double amputee. End of episode?
Yep, end of episode.
And, of course, actually, the very end of the episode is Trevor saying, That which does not kill us makes us stranger.
Yeah. Classic Trevor.
Yeah.
Given all this horniness of Aeon Flux, would you say this is a hashtag sexy app?
Yes,
throwback.
absolutely.
Okay.
This is maybe our sexiest app of all time, including Indian Summer.
I don't know. It doesn't get much sexier than Eve, baby.
Eve. Go back to our Dawson's Creek episodes for that.
Yeah. All right. Season 3, episode 4, A Last Time for Everything. Trevor finally gets what he wants when he clones Aeon. I like this one quite a bit, actually.
This is a real weird one. It also has the most cyberpunk person in it.
Yes. It has a lady who has replaced her feet with hands.
And a bunch of other replacement shit, too. Scaphandra.
Scaphandra, yeah.
Yeah, this is a real fucking triple, quadruple, quintuple agent scenario.
I do feel like this was the most cyberpunk
Yeah.
of all of them, probably.
With the there's another one where I would say maybe thematically it's a little more cyberpunk, but this one is definitely in terms of body mods.
Right. This one also features the armed border, and it takes 2 people to cross it.
Yeah.
Eon's trying to cross with Scaphandra, this modified cyber bio freak.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, gets double crossed or something.
Yeah. And Aeon lets Trevor have, intentionally lets Trevor have her DNA to clone her.
Yeah, Trevor's cloning everybody.
Yeah, he is just a cloning freak out
Every
here.
episode, Trevor's decided, this is how I'm going to save civilization or make it better.
Yeah.
And he goes all in on it.
Yeah,
Trevor doesn't do half measures.
He's got a lot of schemes.
Yeah, and this week it's cloning. And he makes himself an Aeon clone.
Yeah. And then, because Aeon is Aeon, she and her clone swap out.
Mm-hmm.
So the original Aeon is hanging out with Trevor. Clone Aeon is doing Aeon shit, crossing the border and blowing shit up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Aeon shit.
Yeah, just Aeon stuff. And
problem is, original Aeon, like I said, she likes Trevor. And
I think original Aeon's plot is, okay, this will allow me to get very close to Trevor undefended. I will be able to kill him.
Or expose him or something.
She ends up falling in, I don't know,
yeah,
love. And Aeon 2 is running around doing Aeon shit. And also she's... okay, it's too complicated. It's a bunch of double and triple crosses shit with Scaphandra.
Yeah. It's hard to follow when you're watching it, let alone when someone's talking about it.
Yeah, it really is. There's no point in running it down. But Trevor eventually figures out that the Aeon he has is the original Aeon who swapped out for the clone. Aeon 2, the clone, ends up escaping by sacrificing Scaphandra, because Scaphandra was also working for Trevor, and sacrificing Aeon 1.
Well, Aeon 1 sacrifices herself.
Yeah, to make the border crossing.
So, from this point forward, you have to assume that Aeon is actually the clone of Aeon.
Yes.
I like this. Sorry, go ahead.
But what does that even mean in the terms of continuity in this series?
Nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
Although Trevor hinted that he could tell them apart somehow, and he seemed genuinely distressed when original Aeon sacrificed herself. He was desperately trying to get the guns shut down, and he couldn't get there, and he was hurt. And then he told his men to let Aeon 2 go because he wants there to be an Aeon out there somewhere for him.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Who is Trevor without Aeon?
I mean, I want an Aeon out there for me.
Yeah, agreed. That was a good one. Let's move on to season 3, episode 5, The Demiurge.
Oh, the Demiurge is a wild one.
Fantastic, weird,
Aeon and
magical episode.
Aeon and the Monicas have captured God.
Yes.
And are trying to shoot it on a rocket into space.
God sucks. The Monicans don't want God, but Trevor's like, he's all in on God. He's like,
He
God,
is.
much like cloning, is going to save our shit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like Gnostic philosophy in this. It's wild shit. There's a big commando raid led by Trevor.
The art is so good on this one. Just
oh,
all the
yeah,
depictions of the demiurge and
Yeah, it's fucking wild. um, um, like, and this episode hammers a lot of the buttons. Like, yeah, maybe not everybody, but you remember me when I was a teenager and I was into like weird fucking Gnostic philosophy and like reading fucking Paradise Lost and all sorts of shit, like the weird angles of Christianity and stuff like that. This hammers all those fucking buttons deep in my soul. Like at one point, the demiurge explodes out of the rocket, and Trevor says, "Yes, it is. It is that which is." And Aeon says, "It is not." And I mean, it's fucking great. There's this huge firefight. It's it's God. It resurrects one of the dead, dead Monacan guy, and also a bird.
yeah.
Why? Nobody knows.
Don't look in the box, Josh. Whatever you do, crush the box, burn the box, but don't look inside the box.
Aeon launches into space. She doesn't want nothing to do with no God. Then we have this whole plot where the girlfriend of the dead guy, the dead Monacan guy, Nader, is looking for his body, and she had been told not to open this box. Turns out there's a three-eyed Sphinx cat in it.
Yeah, I couldn't figure. Like, I thought that was going to.
I don't know.
Relevance.
Who cares? I don't know. Who gives a shit?
And all the way to the end, he's like, "You didn't look in the box, did you?" And she's like, "I didn't," but she did.
Yeah. And Aeon infiltrates Breen with the fucking box with the bird in it. And Nader's girlfriend follows, and Travis shaved himself entirely.
Oh yeah, Trevor shaved himself. Forgot about that.
Yeah.
She doesn't. Aeon doesn't like it. She said, "I liked you better before."
And Nader's resurrected body gives birth to a god baby, which is not the only god baby we'll run into.
Nope, there's going to be another one.
And then God appears as like a superhero in Aeon Flux's apartment, and everything collapses. And Nader's girlfriend Leah comes back to life, and I just wrote another great one. Like, I do not know what most of this meant, but it ruled.
Yeah, that one might have been the one that I texted you afterwards and said, "I don't want to go out on a limb here, but this show is kind of weird."
Yeah. Yep. And not to be too forceful about it, but yeah, seems like an odd show.
The next episode is Erasure. Aeon works to undo a successful mission after realizing how much it is hurting an innocent person. This one, not my fave.
This was a fucking weird one, and I believe it's Erasure. Like, imagine you pronounce it like erasure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there are these cool little tardigrade things that shit out weird berries. That
shit out ketamine, basically.
Yeah, they're called bliss pellets.
Yeah.
And you eat them, and your memory goes away. Yeah, you're fine with it. It's a pretty good episode. Like, it might be I don't disagree with you. Like, it might be one of my least favorite episodes, but it's still pretty fucking good. Like, and cool.
Yeah.
Like, this guy has been running this scheme with his girlfriend to get rid of all these nargiles, which are these giant tardigrade things. Because he and his girlfriend had both been victims of the memory erasure.
Yeah.
There's a complicated plot where Aeon breaks into the prison, but the lady prisoner is already freed. She ends up dying, blah, blah, blah. Aeon ends up hooking up with this guy whose name is Rory, He's an amputee. Don't worry about it. It's definitely not a fetish that we're addressing on this show.
Yeah.
And the whole goal of Rorty and I can't remember her name, his girlfriend's plot is to shoot the Nargiles up into the sun because, like tardigrades, they're almost impossible to kill.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got this levitating platform at the end of a large, a long cable.
Seems impractical.
Yeah, seems like not the most functional idea. So Aeon goes up there to deliver a Nargile to the platform. It turns out there are no Nargiles. And it turns out that Trevor was just excited, shows up because apparently he'd been fucking the
girlfriend.
And there are no Nargiles up there because Trevor's been taking them and putting them back.
Yeah. This is also a spot where they have these weird suits. Like, this thing is so high in the air, they have to have special suits to breathe.
Yeah.
Trevor plugs his into Aeon's, and they start inflating and deflating.
Inflating fuck.
And they're making, like, very sexual noises. So clearly they're being fucked by air or something. I don't know. But it's horny.
It's unclear, but it is horny.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good catchphrase for the show. Unclear, but horny.
Unclear, but horny.
So Aeon and Trev fight. Then Aeon goes back down. Rorty fights with her because he found some photos of her with Trevor, which was a whole different subplot. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, she's being blackmailed.
We end up shooting the platform into space with almost no Nargiles onto it.
Yeah.
There's a big car chase. Aeon gives Rorty a Nargile, or the Nargile that was proof that his girlfriend had been betraying him with Trevor. And he goes ahead and takes the bliss pill out of the Nargile and then forgets her. Forgets Aeon.
Episode over.
Episode end. Why? Nobody know.
Nobody know. Next episode. This one was a heavy one. Chronophagia. Aeon encounters a mysterious boy on a mission to recover one of Trevor's test subjects.
Here come the other god baby.
Yeah.
Okay, so this episode is very much a video game. It's Run Lola Run.
Yeah.
Aeon's in repeat. Live Die Repeat. What's the name of that movie in actuality?
Oh,
fuck.
Something that didn't fit.
No, it's deeply boring name compared to Live Die Repeat.
Yeah.
Shit. Wow. That's my favorite
Edge
Tom
of
Cruise.
Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow.
Stupid name.
Yeah.
It's a great Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah. Okay, so Aeon's in the jungle. She has a baby photo. She knows some coordinates, and that's it. Trevor's troops are approaching in a big stompy tank. Trevor's troops corner her. She falls through the ground.
That's such a weird scene. Like, just whip right through the grass.
Yep. Suddenly there's a magic boy. She's in the underworld. There's a whole underground city with like these weird, cool 1960s sci-fi looking living modules or something. And everybody's dead except for this boy. He leads Aeon to a lab in this underground city. And she shows the baby picture to the boy. And he laughs and says, she still remembers her function. Then we go back to Trevor, who finds his way in. He's like, what the fuck is going on here?
They're all suited up because they think this place was killed off by a virus.
Yeah. And this was apparently a working facility 3 weeks ago. And every corpse that Aeon saw is like mummified.
Yeah, it looks ancient.
Yeah. So the boy takes Aeon to a monster baby and she dies because it screams.
It's a fucking terrifying looking monster baby.
It's not pleasant. I don't like it at all. She wakes up on like an altar somewhere else in these tunnels and is captured by Trevor's guys.
Her hair's down this whole episode too. She doesn't have her trademark curls.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that kind of where the page boy goes up.
I don't have any idea.
But it It would have been a good piece of research to figure that out. My fault. Oh, well.
I don't think anybody's going to hold it against you.
Okay,
For the
good.
hairdressers in the audience.
Yeah, well, sorry, people. So then it turns out that she ends up captured by Trevor's troops. They're both looking for this vial, which is maybe a virus, which is maybe the key to permanent insanity / human happiness.
Time travel? We don't know.
It's unclear. Then we get into some stoned ape theory, like we're watching fucking Joe Rogan. And Trevor has a really good line because Aeon seems to be coming in and out of focus quite a bit because she keeps escaping and then running into this monster baby and dying, and then returning. Trevor says, "I'm just doing my weekly volunteer work with mental patients."
I laughed at that one. That's good.
Yeah.
There's another Trevor line that I don't think we've got to yet that I'll try to remember to point out.
Okay. Aeon shows the baby to Trevor,
I think it was last episode.
Yeah, reveals the baby to Trevor. He goes to hunt it down. Aeon escapes and follows. The boy says the waker sleeps because this magic boy has been wandering around the whole time.
Yeah, this is all cryptic shit.
Yeah, he just kind of he says some Paul Atreides hallucinating bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, this week.
Oh God, is that this week?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was next. Fuck, you got to go see that.
I'm definitely gonna. Well, it's Friday, so
yeah. Ugh. I don't know. I haven't been to a movie I haven't been to an opening on a Friday night in I don't know how many years.
they probably have a midnight showing or something.
I'm sure.
We're talking about the movie Dune, which has like a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes as we speak,
and a very fuckable popcorn.
a very fuckable popcorn bucket. Only at AMC though. We got to get that AMC.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, we got to go to that one up north, maybe.
There's one at Ward Parkway.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, well, we should talk about that after we finish recording.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sitting there fucking our AMC popcorn buckets.
I mean, that's the point.
That's what everybody's gonna be doing, right?
Dude, you should see. I saw on a subreddit that I'm on, the one for the new Ghostbusters movie is also pretty fuckable.
Why
looking.
is everybody making popcorn buckets so fuckable?
I don't know, but it's Slimer, and it's weirdly fuckable.
Who hasn't wanted to fuck a sandworm, but nobody wants to fuck Slimer?
Yeah, it's got like, in terms of 2000s era hip hop, Slimer got them apple bottom jeans.
All right. Well, I'm coming around to it. Let's get back to Aeon Flux because we are running long.
Way over time. Okay, so Aeon has a bunch of hallucinations of people she's killed. She dies again.
Yeah, this is the only
Trevor
time,
is
by the way,
alive.
that there's any reference to anything that's happened before in the show. It's her
Yeah,
little
this is-
hallucinations.
Yeah, this is like the only bit of continuity.
Yeah.
Trevor is alive and nuts. I don't know. We cut back. It goes through a bunch of iterations of the same shit. And then at the end of the episode, it cuts to Trevor in a lab. His soldiers have captured Aeon. She's got the flu.
He tells her, you just have the flu. You don't have some deadly virus.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're an idiot. And then we go back again. She dies and wakes up. There's this weird costuming hallucination where she goes through like the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that was weird.
Where she's like an Aztec and a samurai and I don't know what else. She gets the vial, destroyed it, light explodes. She ends up in the suburbs and taking the boy to a soccer practice, and she's his mom. End of episode.
Ba-dun-dun. Yes, that's it.
I can't relate enough how much the show rules.
This episode it felt like they had something very philosophical to say. Maybe I'm wrong and they just wanted to make it seem really trippy, but I don't know. It was hard to follow.
It fucking ruled.
It did rule.
Yeah.
Next episode, Ether Drift Theory. This one I like in spite of myself. Aeon discovers an ecosystem existing in an ocean of paralytic fluid called the Habitat, where Trevor is conducting experiments on life forms.
Yes. This was a pretty great ep.
Like I said, some of them philosophical point. They're wanting to talk about God and stuff like that. Some of them, they're like, ooh, it would be really cool if like there was this acid poking holes in a cube.
What's some cool sci-fi spy shit?
Yeah. And we could have like Aeon like crawling through secret tunnels and shit. Yeah, this is just a fun one.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's worth. Like, okay, so she's taken a girl named Linda to save her boyfriend Bargeld, who is like a prisoner of Trevor's in this weird undersea paralytic fluid cube.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Why is there a sea of paralytic fluid?
I don't know. Don't worry about it. Who cares?
But he seems to be like the guy who was heading the experiments because he had figured out a way to neutralize the paralytic fluid.
Yeah. Well, he's also a prisoner.
Yeah. Well, nobody works for Trevor willingly.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Aeon like loses the ammo for her gun right off the bat, which turns it to a thing. Yeah.
This thing is infested with animals that are attracted to metal for some reason.
Yeah. Look,
this
it
does
doesn't
have
matter.
the scene. Sorry, where Aeon and Trevor are in a room.
Have
and
a sex toy showdown.
They both grab some type of weapon to fight each other. Trevor's got like a gun with like tentacles coming off it. Aeon has this giant crab claw, and Trevor says, I don't think I have the slightest idea of what this thing does.
Yeah, it's like a fuck toy showdown.
Yeah. It's good.
I mean, it honestly, this whole episode doesn't matter, but it rules.
Yeah, it's just fun. Although it does end pretty darkly.
Yeah, it runs through, you're running through a bunch of fucking hallways and tunnels, and like there's cool shit, and it turns out that Aeon made this small mistake, and it turns out that this small mistake resulted in acid dissolving this habitat.
Yeah.
And there's no escape.
There's a weird like restaurant in the middle of it where people
there's a restaurant, which there's also a sex club. Don't worry about it.
Aeon stops and literally like has dinner in this fucking restaurant in the middle of all this shit.
Yeah, and it's a whole goddamn
we
thing,
missed on
and
the
it
last
rules.
episode where Trevor was feeding her pasta.
Oh, that's true.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's very hot. Yeah, this whole episode rules. Watch it. Like, I don't know, there's weird shit going around. Who cares?
By the way, the other Trevor quote that I mentioned earlier, I think we've already passed it. I believe it was from the Erasure episode, where Trevor walks in and the girl is being interrogated, and she's like, by his female like torturer is like getting ready to hit her, and Trevor says, "Stop that! I don't want to see you doing that." And then he walks up to the girl and he goes, "Allow me," and smacks her in the face.
Yeah,
I don't know. Trevor's such a bastard.
Yeah, he is a real piece of shit.
Okay, the next episode after Ether Drift Theory. Oh, by the way, Ether Drift Theory ends with the habitat being completely dissolved and Aeon floating in paralytic fluid, watching the key bouncing off the opening of the gun that would neutralize the fluid and save her.
Yeah, it's another one of these fun. Well, what the fuck do we do?
Just stick her, paralyze her forever.
Yep.
Next, episode 9. The Purge. Aeon uncovers a plot by Trevor to install artificial consciences in his subjects. Once again, Trevor gets an idea and goes all in.
This is one I had a real firm fucking memory of. The stick figures, custodians.
Yeah, I did not. I had no memory of this, and it was very bizarre, but one of my more favorite ones, actually.
Yeah, it fucking ruled. And this was the one that I mentioned earlier. Like, this feels... in terms of theme, very cyberpunky, like in the same way that kind of, say, A Clockwork Orange is cyberpunky.
Sure.
So there's this bad guy who's this big fat criminal who just like kills people, and Aeon is chasing him.
Through a train.
Through a train. It's pretty cool. It's Snowpiercer.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I don't know. There's all sorts of weird shit. And Trevor ends up capturing this guy.
I think they are, during the train, they are trying to make a point about conscience and morality because the guy is just mowing down people that get in his way. And Aeon, each train car has the opportunity to help them, but chooses not to and to pursue this criminal instead. It's like trolley theory or something.
Yeah, she uses neutrality as a crutch.
Right.
Like, this isn't my problem, even though I could easily solve it.
Whereas Big Dude just enjoys it.
Yeah. So Trevor ends up capturing this guy and injects him with this stick figure thing, which is called a custodian, which is an artificial
Nearly
conscience.
impossible to describe on a
Yeah,
podcast, right?
all I can say is a stick figure that goes in his belly button.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And then
And
he
that's
becomes a super nice guy.
Yeah, and then he becomes too nice, arguably. He runs into a kid who is an amputee and donates his arm to this child.
It should be noted, it does
It's
not
pretty
match
funny.
the child's body.
It's pretty funny looking.
Very funny.
And we go through this whole thing of it's the Clockwork Orange thing. Like I said, it's if you enforce a conscience, is it a real thing?
Sure.
Like, if it's artificial, does it actually matter? Is it worth anything?
Yeah. We do get a little glimpse into the world also, though, as you see these people getting their food rations.
Yeah, they go into porta potties
and they eat a cabbage.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you also thought that was a cabbage, because my initial thought was that's a cabbage.
I thought they rolled it out.
And then it looked like they were eating a pudding in terms of eating. But
I thought at one point someone said her cabbage was uneaten or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it looked like a cabbage to me.
Yeah. And then through a complicated series of events, we see the replacement of one of these custodian stick figures with a bomb pop dildo.
Yeah.
So even though this terrible criminal guy named Bambara having an artificial conscience is a net good to society, there is this sexy old lady dominatrix and the organization she runs, which is against the artificial control.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the Clockwork Orange thing.
Right.
So we go through this whole thing. We end up on a game show.
Oh, God, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. There's like a go-go dance.
Trevor has like two weird tween daughters.
Yeah.
Are they his daughters or just... who knows?
I don't know. Yeah. There's a weird philosophy conversation until Bambara, who has had his conscience removed, shows up and starts shooting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes a philosophical statement that everyone has to suffer because everyone is to blame for his pain in the world. In Minecraft. This is maybe my favorite episode so far.
And it's early in the DVDs. Like it's
like the third or fourth ep, maybe.
Yeah, I liked this one a lot too.
Yeah. It's a fucking banger. It doesn't come to a real conclusion. I mean, it's great.
Yeah. I don't remember how it ends exactly, but
yeah, Bambara escapes, Aeon escapes, and Trevor is left in the ruins of a game show.
Yeah, okay. Plus, Aeon wears a red outfit in that one.
Mm-hmm.
The last episode that I have is episode 10, End Sinister. Aeon chases Trevor into the distant future where she meets what the human race has become. That's a little bit of a spoiler.
Yeah.
Really basically, she meets an alien, which she eventually finds out is just the human race evolved.
Yeah, Trevor has this cool plot to fire a laser from a satellite that's going to make everything evolve.
It's going to kill off half of humanity. It's the Thanos thing. Like, probably about half of humanity is going to die, but the other half is going to get so much stronger if they survive the initial onslaught.
It will strengthen the strange, like you and me, is something he says.
Yeah.
Maybe
we haven't fully laid out how horny Aeon and Trevor are every time they see each other.
Every time they get anywhere near each other, their tongues are like braiding. Look, I was married for a long time, even before I was married. I made out with a lot of chicks. My tongue never did anything like what they do on this show in animation. I'm not sure if it's physically possible.
They definitely liked animating tongues. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super horny.
Like, part of me is curious what a show like this made for Netflix or HBO Max would look like. The other part of me is like, man, it's kind of cool that they had the constraints of basic cable.
I think this was far hornier than like Edge Runners was, and Edge Runners had full pen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm happy with this.
Those constraints, like leaving it to the imagination, goes a long way in the horniness of this show.
Which is not to say that I would object in any way if Peter Chung got a huge Netflix contract for 10 more seasons of Aeon Flux.
Well, according to that Screen Rant thing I was talking about earlier, there is a reboot supposed to be in the mix.
Oh,
but they got to get the same voice actor for Trevor, man. It's too iconic at this point.
Yeah, and so is Aeon.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Trevor's going to fire a laser that's going to make half the human race evolve and half of them die. Also, some aliens show up at the same time. It's got a cool spaceship that looks like a ray.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're kind of sexy aliens, except for that their legs go up to their shoulders.
They don't have any holes.
There's no holes, and Trevor is into that.
He is surprisingly into that.
So much so that when Aeon meets the first alien, she's like, you don't have any orifices. I know somebody who's going to love you.
Yeah.
And then when Trevor meets her, he does.
Yeah, he is hard.
It's like, I'm going to find a way to fuck this alien.
Yeah. So Aeon rescues this alien from an escape pod. It's got like, I don't know, a hollow torso? I don't know how to describe that at all.
It's like its legs go up to its shoulders.
Yeah.
There's just a gap in the middle.
It does psychic communications, has no mouth or anything, and like 2 different eyes.
That it can remove.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Trevor ends up capturing it and examines it, focusing on how it fucks.
Yeah.
And
Aeon is curious too for her part.
Yeah, the alien ends up tracking down Aeon to her apartment, and then they do some eye drugs? ?
Yes, yeah.
Which is a great part of cyberpunk.
Also,
eye drugs.
Yeah, that's true. But the alien is hinting hey, we can have sex by swapping eyes, and Aeon's like, hey, I'm into some crazy shit, but I draw the line
might
there.
Be a bridge too far.
The next 2 scenes later, you see Trevor has clearly swapped eyes with this thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, it is not a bridge too far for Trevor.
Yeah. So Trevor's going to launch a rocket, which is going to take 523 years or something to get to the alien home planet, on which Aeon sets a bomb. Then we have a conversation between Trevor and Aeon, which is just a reiteration of the sub-dom dynamic that we have seen throughout the entire show, about how Trevor wants to, since Trevor wants to take control in his public life, he wants to cede control in his private life, and so on and so forth. It's really Psych 101 bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aeon captures the alien and gets put into a life pod, and
for 500 years.
Yeah, for 500 years, she ends up getting in the life pod that the alien left. Trevor and the alien escape, but they go to the alien planet. It's all weird.
You missed it in the beginning. She had stolen the controls for the ray.
Oh, yeah.
It turns out these aliens are too weak to withstand.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, the aliens can't do the evolution ray thing.
But she hides the control from the ray so that Trevor can't find it and kill half of humanity.
Yeah, so then Aeon wakes up. Breen now looks all weird and organic, and they're the same type of aliens wandering around in the background. And Trevor's there, and he's trying to be like them. He is very thin. He says they're the future. They're what we evolved into. And Aeon runs into the woods, digs up the control for the ray, and fires it. And everybody dies. Except for Trevor and Aeon.
Basically, yeah.
They get into the pod, and then for another 500 years-ish, and then they go forth and multiply? I don't know. That's the end of the series. It's fucking great.
Isn't there like a line about going forth and multiplying or something?
That's
like
very possible.
A Trevor voiceover? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I did not put quote marks around what I wrote, so...
But yeah, that's it. They kill humanity.
Yeah, it's a great show. I highly recommend it.
Oh, man. I did enjoy watching Aeon Flux again, some of it for the first time. The shows and the shorts were very different, but both good in their own ways. And buy the DVD for $7 or just stream the series on Paramount Plus or whatever.
All of it is extremely useful in the same way that Burst City would be, like on a big TV in the background at a party.
Definitely. In fact, less problematic than Burst City's few problematic moments.
That's true. Yeah.
But at any rate, it would look cool on a TV.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a lot of memories of this series when I was high and drunk as a fucking teenager. And yeah, good times, bad times.
Good times, bad times. Shall we rate it?
Yes.
The story of Aeon Flux. My God, I don't even know how to do this because there isn't an overarching story, but individually, the separate stories are mostly great. So
I would mark it as 1 to 5.
It's out of 10.
Oh yeah, 1 to 10. It's fucking great. I don't know.
I'm gonna go 9. Actually, I know there's no overarching story, but
I don't think it needs one.
There's really not a miss, and even in the shorts.
Yeah. I have to agree. I think 9's a really good. I agree with you.
Yeah. Influence, I like it. I don't think it's up there with Dades, so I'd probably give it a 9 for this too. Dades being doing by Stream of Electric Sheep.
Hey, good. I knew exactly what you meant, and I'm glad you said it that way because that's the way I think of it.
Yeah. It is a bitch to type out. Believe me, over the last 2 weeks, I typed it out like a dozen times and got more annoyed every time I did.
I will agree with that as well, if nothing else, because it is, in rewatching it 20 years after the fact, it is so clearly a defining influence on The Matrix, which is a defining cyberpunk piece, which, I don't know, maybe we should cover that at some point.
The Matrix?
Yeah, I think so.
Nah.
Okay.
Maybe 9's not enough. I don't know, because that was our reasoning for Dades, was that it inspired Blade Runner, but...
I think 9... I think 9 is good for me. If you want to go higher, feel free.
No, I'll stick with 9 as well.
Okay.
Prescience. Can't give this one too high because it's such an insane, horny world that they're envisioning coming to pass.
Well, I don't know about you, but I, for one, am wearing a black leather chastity belt.
We went over this at the beginning. My fly's still in there.
Yes.
I think there are some aspects that they cover in this, like the surveillance state, a crazy, horny despot coming to power, that are things that could happen.
Yeah. I'm just going to go middle ground. I'm going to go 4.5.
I think I'll go 5. But yeah,
I would like if our world was any cooler, I'd be happy to go higher. But it would.
It's never going to be that cool of a dystopia.
Yeah.
And I don't think any anarchist collective will ever exist that won't be crushed by its neighbors.
Hey, one thing that I wanted to say that I thought of earlier while we were watching the show, the Breen soldier, like the stormtrooper kind of helmet thing. as we were talking about the pilot, I think, it occurred to me that that really resembles, and when I was talking about Egon Schiele and sort of art influences, the Breen Stormtrooper helmet looks like the Polish Star Wars poster. It has a sort of version of Darth Vader's helmet that
No
looks like a
idea.
panther. It's really weird. You can find it online, like Polish Star Wars.
I'm Googling it and not seeing it. Oh, I think I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. That just popped into my head a second ago, and I didn't want to, like 2 days after the fact, go, oh shit, I had something I wanted to say, dude.
Right.
And then have you awkwardly insert into the
I think it wasn't awkward when we did that last week. I think it fit in pretty well.
Okay, good.
But yes, I actually really loved the Stormtrooper armor design in this show, which leads us into the final category, which is style. And I think this might be my first 10 out of 10.
10.
No, I gave Hackers a 10. And Tron.
It's so stylish. It hurts because my penis is trapped in my pants.
Yes. It is like it was made for style first. Like all the other stuff is secondary to style.
The whole fucking show is based on form and movement, and I mean it blasts it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like there's not a piece of like if it was a real program we'd call it wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a piece of character design that isn't meant to look just peak of cool at any given point.
There's a scene in the clone episode, I believe, when Aeon is running out. She has to like grab Trevor's like hoodie and sweatpants, basically. Yeah. And it still looks cool. All right. Final 1 to 5 rating. How much we liked it. I'm going to give it a 5. I
rate this 5. I can't not rate this 5.
It's pretty coveted reward on this show.
Yeah. Watching this, when I sat down to watch this, because I'd ordered it, I bought it off of Amazon like probably a year ago. I mean, months and months and months, because I thought, oh, we're going to cover that eventually. I did not have the slightest idea how much this was embedded in my goddamn brain until I sat down to watch it. Like, this can't be anything other than 5 for me.
If you're into cyberpunk and the sci-fi aesthetic that we are pretty much into on this show, and you haven't watched Aeon Flux in a while, do yourself a favor, watch it, spend some time with it, get a little horny with it, and then don't watch. Well, maybe do. I don't know.
We'll find out.
This TV show was a mild hit, and it inspired a live action film that came after it. And we figured we are never going to be in a more worthy mood to watch this movie than we are right now.
Yeah, we're going to watch the 2005 film Aeon Flux, starring, holy shit, starring Charlize Theron and Frances McDormand.
Yeah, Jesus. I've seen stills of her in it. Directed
by Karen Kusama, which I did not know that. She also directed Girl Fight and The Invitation and a bunch of Yellow Jackets.
Wow, those are good shit.
And I don't remember what else. She also, I think she also did Jennifer's Body. Yes.
I thought Jennifer's Body was...
no, it was written by Diablo Cody.
Oh, she didn't direct it?
Yeah.
Well, that's... Maybe we'll... maybe it'll be good.
I don't... as I said before we started this program, the most interesting thing about the Aeon Flux film to me is that I never once considered watching it.
Yeah.
Because I obviously was very much into Aeon Flux in the 1990s. I already was way into Charlize Theron by 2005. But it never once crossed my fucking mind to watch this movie for some reason, possibly because I saw the trailer.
I think it's
And it
marketing.
looked
Like
terrible.
every still image I see of Charlize Theron as Aeon it doesn't come close to what Aeon should look like. And
Yeah.
maybe that's because it's impossible to, like,
Yeah.
people talk about unfilmable stories. Like, this animation style is not filmable. It's not reproducible.
Yeah. It's really like I said at the beginning, Egon Schiele, German expressionism.
Yeah.
This is
You can pick the hottest actress in the world. She's not going to look like Aeon because humans don't look like Aeon.
yeah, humans can't look that way.
So
I mean, humans can't look like Trevor, for fuck's sake.
yeah, I think David Bowie might have gotten close if he tried.
That would be. You're absolutely right. That is the absolute closest you could possibly get, and I still think like it probably wouldn't have quite hit the mark.
No, but
And I mean that's from me, for God's sake.
I know.
I'm literally staring at a David Bowie picture as we say this.
He's the only one that could have got close. But anyway, we're gonna give it a shot next week. Watch it along with us if you want. And sorry if it's bad. We don't honestly know because neither of us have. It's got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's not a good sign.
And a 5.4 on IMDb. So we'll see. But the talent involved is good. Karen Kusama, Charlize Theron, Frances McDormand.
But once it's done, we're done with Aeon Flux. So, and we're done with this episode of Aeon Flux now.
Oh,
we
fuck.
are way
Johnny
over.
Lee Miller is in it, too.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. All right. We're into it. Oh, Jesus Christ. This has so many good people in it. How is this terrible? Okay. Anyway.
Check us out on Twitter at Johnny60Seconds. Check us out on Patreon at High Tech Low Life. And email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com. I haven't given that out in a while.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm at @Collins on Twitter and Blue Sky, I think.
Yeah, that's right. We're on Blue Sky too.
Yeah, we are.
Until next week.
I need you to say that I'm skating the edge.
Shit. I wish we could do the whole thing. I can't do Trevor Goodchild, man. I'm not even going to try.
I am the edge.
Bye. We didn't even talk about the music, which is very good.
It rules. There's too much.
Bye.
This has been the High Tech Low Life Podcast. Find us on Twitter at Johnny60Seconds, email us at hightechlowlifepodcast@gmail.com, and find us on Patreon at patreon.com/hightechlowlife. Theme music by Nihilor at nihilor.com. Thank you for listening.
Keep it moving. Come on, what are you waiting on? Let's go.
They're trashing our rights, man! They're trashing the fluid data! They're trashing! Everybody, hide the planet! Hide the planet!
Shut up and get in the car.